Explain the function of the soldering tool.
Desoldering pump.
Desoldering. When we have installed a part by mistake, we have to remove it from the board and remove its bases. For this, first remove the solder and re-solder. For this purpose, we use a tin can. Solder sucker is a small syringe-like pump that is placed in the hand. This pump removes the solder from the surfaces by creating vacuum pressure. Solder sucker is a good tool and does its job properly.
Step 1. Push the pump's end until it snaps into place. This compresses a spring, causing it to latch in the depressed position. With your soldering iron, heat the old solder. Heat the old solder with the tip of your soldering iron until it melts. As the old solder melts, you may press the terminal with the soldering iron tip at the same time to help liberate the component. Step 2. The molten solder should be vacuumed up. Without applying pressure, place the desoldering pump tip on the solder pad and melted the solder. When the spring is released, the piston returns swiftly. This generates a vacuum that draws the molten solder into the pump. During operation, the pump's tip may melt somewhat. Most pumps have replaceable tips or are inexpensive to begin with, but you may try to minimize damage by stopping for a few seconds after melting the solder. Melted solder can harden fast again. Only use one terminal at a time. Step 3. Remove the desoldering pump and throw it away. Push the pump down over a garbage can after each usage to rearm it and empty it away from the solder. If the old solder is left within, it may seep out when you vacuum the next terminal. Step 4. Troubleshoot problematic connections. It is common for numerous passes with the soldering iron and pump to be required before the component comes free. If you haven't made any progress after a few attempts, try any or all of the following modifications. Apply flux first to aid the flow of the molten solder. Melt a little amount of fresh solder to combine with the old, hardened solder. For through-hole connections, gently wriggle the terminal from side to side with the tip of the soldering iron. This breaks the connection to the hole's sidewalls. Step 5. Clear the table. Because brown resin can melt when heated, you may find it sticking around the solder pad. You can remove it using a professional resin cleaner or by carefully scraping it away with a tiny flathead screwdriver or steel wool. Finish by washing the area with an isopropyl alcohol dampened toothbrush. The pressure from the iron or pump may cause the solder pad to slip somewhat. As long as the traces connecting the pad to the other components are still intact, it should still operate. If the traces are damaged, you must solder new ones on. If there are still remnants of solder on the pad, a desoldering braid, as detailed below, can easily take them up.
To support me, subscribe to my channel. Like my videos. Press the bell button for notifications. Subscribe to my channel for new videos. Share my videos. Write me a comment. Thank you.